Hello Market Club members, Adam Hewison here, coming to you on the 2nd of December. Are you ready to take a cruise? I know I'm getting that way right now because it's beginning to look a little dismal here. It's getting colder. I'm ready to look at some cruise lines. So let's take a look at 3 cruise lines today. We'll start off with Royal Caribbean. The symbol is RCL. And we've gone back to the first of the year, actually just a little bit before the first of the year. So you can see we closed out the year right around the 82 level on December 31st last year. So we're 82, we're 94, so the market has come back a little bit more than 10%, but you can see really it's been in a pretty steady uptrend since it made the low back here. This is when they had all the problems with, you name it, all the cruise problems, but you can see it sort of steadily moved up, and I think that's a good sign. Now the key thing is here, we are in a trading range, and 2 things I want to look at. One is the weekly trade triangle right here. We want to see that turn green. Once that turns green, I want to be a buyer of this stock. The other one to look at, the first clue is going to be a move over the RSI line, the 50 line. We move over there like it did here, for example, and you can see that it sort of corresponded with up here, and then it just had a nice little pop. So what we're looking for is a nice little pop in this stock. So the other thing to look at also is the parabolic. Let me just get a little closer in on the screen to show you that. Let's just go to 3 months, and you can see the parabolic today comes in, it's called the PSAR, that comes in at 95.31, and you can see that. I'll show you where you can see that because it changes every day, but let me just see if I can show you. That's where you're going to find the information, 95.31. So 95.31, if the market hit 95.31, then this little pink dots would go under here, indicating there's been a change in direction. You can see how it works here. The market moved over. Yes, it did come back, but it didn't come back and hit the stop. So it's moved up, and then eventually it turned down, and you can see it came down again. So that's one thing to look at. The other is the RSI, and the other is the weekly trade triangles. All of those things are important. Now, let's go to our next stock. Some of these things are happening, so let's move on. This is Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings. The symbol for that stock is NCLH. And that's a little bit different in the sense that you are broken over the parabolic. You can see that right now. So it's a little bit stronger than the first stock we looked at. But it still has the weekly red trade triangle, and it's still kind of dancing along the 50 line. So if we were to get a little bit more of a pop, then I think we could see this market go higher. We may spend another week down here, but watch this stock very, very carefully. Put it on your radar screen, because it could be a nice little pop up to the 64, 65, 66 level, and a nice little return for Christmas, and possibly to pay for a cruise. Our last stock is Carnival. Carnival has obviously had its share of problems, but CCL is the symbol, and it's 55, very similar to all the cruise lines are pretty much the similar, same sort of sideways pattern, but they've all come up. If we scope this out to just like a 1 year, you can see this one has had its challenges, but what we're looking for is a quick pop, like from here. Let me draw that. So we're looking for like a quick pop on the upside, sort of like here to here, and then here to here, that sort of thing. So boom, boom, that's the type of thing we're looking for. And I think if we round out here, we get the signal we're looking for with the weekly trade triangle turning green, and also the RSI going over 50. I think we'll get a quick pop to the upside, and maybe it's going to be this afternoon when Miss Yellen comes on and makes her forecast for interest rates. Maybe they're going to jump interest rates up today. No one knows for sure, but that's the reality of the situation. But that's the 3 stocks we're looking at in cruise lines. You know what to do if that happens. Do it. Also, put this in your portfolio so you can watch them and keep them on your radar screen. Now, yesterday we mentioned the GDX, which is the Market Vectors Gold Miners ETF. This is very interesting because we actually had a signal late yesterday at 1407 to be a buyer of this stock. It made the turn on the weekly, so we still have the monthly down, but the weekly is up, and we just sort of stopped at the 50 line. If you want to be a little bit more conservative, just wait for it to go over the highs, yesterday's highs, 1420, and then be a buyer. But the pullback today, let's show you quickly. The pullback today is still very much in this sort of realm of support area. So I would say chances are, if you look on a close-only chart, chances are you see we've closed, this best close we've had since, gosh, way back here. We're looking at somewhere almost a month. It's the best close we've had in a month in this stock, and I think if we see it just pop over the 50 line, maybe a couple of days, I think we're going to see a nice recovery in this particular ETF. This is gold. Gold took a bit of a dive today. You can see everything's at minus 100, and it was still down here, but they still have that divergence we talked about yesterday, and I think that's the important thing to remember. I don't want to be totally negative on gold, even though the trend is down, and that's the way you should be. You may want to think about having some close stops on this position, particularly in the month of December. The Dow still has a weekly red trade triangle. We are above the 50, and we are above the parabolic, so the favors may be trending up. We're down a little bit today, but it hasn't gone anywhere. Everyone's waiting for this noontime announcement from Janet Yellen. I think that's what we'll have to do, but I think the odds longer term still favor the upside in the indices. Now this is the S&P 500. Yesterday we had a buy signal on the weekly, which is what we wanted. Everything is green for go. I would want to be long this index going into Ms. Yellen's statement today. Nasdaq, same thing. We had a monthly that came in today, which is very good. That's a new high on this particular index, and it looks like it wants to go higher. So really that's the way to play it. In my books, the stocks are still positive. The only one that isn't positive right now is the Dow. And remember, that's only 30 stocks. This is a lot more stocks than the Nasdaq, and of course it's 500 in the S&P 500. Looking at the euro, this is sort of just melted out to everyone's waiting for Mario Draghi to make his statement. I think it's coming out tomorrow, and we'll see what he has to say. But generally speaking, you should be basically out of this market because we have a daily green trade triangle, and you should be on the sidelines. Now this is crude oil. You can see crude oil just dipped below and gave us a parabolic sell signal, and it's just, this is going to be a new low close for this particular month. We're looking at January crude oil, and again, it does not look good. It just doesn't seem to be able to hold its head above water, or in this case above the lows. So hey, let's take a look at those cruise lines. Let's take a cruise, and I'm Adam Hewison from Market Club. Thanks so much for watching this video. Every success, and let's see what Miss Yellen has to say today.